This lesson is not just about contraception. It's about combating disease. It's about the fight against sexually transmitted infections. So far, in all parts of the country, it's been a losing battle. And the casualties are teenagers who are not aware of the risks of unprotected sex.
I just treat life as one big joke.
Are you joking with me now?
No, I'm not joking. Life's a joke.
But you wouldn't have unprotected sex, would you?
Yeah, of course I would. Done it many a times.
There is a huge amount of ignorance about sexually transmitted infections. There's a huge amount of ignorance about all aspects of sexual health in this country. There's still an awful lot of sex myths out there.
My experience of working with young people, for example, is that they commonly tell me that they feel that the education that they've had about sex in schools has been inadequate, that they've done work around the mechanics of sex, but very little to actually encourage them to think about safer sex, think about sexually transmitted infections.
Teenagers living in areas with high unemployment and low expectations are at greater risk of sexually transmitted diseases. In this programme, we're focusing on 2 schools, which are responding to what's happening in their communities and what's needed to protect their children. They've expanded and improved their sexual health education, but taken different approaches. At one school, they've teamed up with health and youth workers, and at the other, they've brought in an educational theatre group. And while form tutors deliver sex education at one school, at the other, it's done by teachers specialising in PSHE. The one thing they have in common is a sense of alarm at the dangers facing sexually active young people.
Whether we turn around and say, morally or biologically, health-wise this isn't acceptable, they're still going to do it. So we'd rather put them in a position where they're safe. We're not saying go out and do it, but we are saying if you do it, then make sure you're safe.
All we can do is make them aware of the dangers that they're putting themselves into. And if they can then tell us that they're aware of it, show that they're aware of it, advise others on the situations they're putting themselves into, then hopefully we've done our job.
The escalation in sexually transmitted infections, or STIs, has been dramatic. In the 10 years up to 2004, there's been a 60% increase in diagnoses, excluding HIV. Chlamydia rates rose by 216%, gonorrhea by 112%, genital warts by 32%, and herpes by 13%. Syphilis has increased by nearly 1,500%, although the numbers are relatively low at just over 1,800. One of the biggest increases has been in the West Midlands. In Birmingham, most sufferers go to this city centre clinic.
Well, we deal primarily here with infections. Of course, a lot more sexual health than just infections, but if you are unfortunate enough to catch an infection, clearly want to be dealt with quickly and cured because of the potential sequelae and consequences of having it left untreated. In particular, chlamydia and gonorrhea, which can go on to cause permanent damage to the genital tract, particularly in women, leading to problems with pain, infertility in the future.
The chlamydia increase amongst 16 to 19-year-olds is even more alarming in the 10 years up to 2004. More than 500% for boys and nearly 300% for girls. Gonorrhea rates in the same age group have gone up by 180% for boys and 140% for girls. The infection increase is reflected in the stories of the young people themselves. We asked Birmingham and Solihull Connections Services to bring together some recent school leavers. Have you ever come across anyone who's had a sexually transmitted illness?
Yeah. I am a palace, yeah, man.
Yeah, one of my friends did as well.
What did they have?
He had 2.
Do you know what he had?
Crabs.
My mate, who's 40,
yeah, my mate had that as well.
Yeah, crabs and
genital warts.
Do you think if you and your friends take sexually transmitted illnesses seriously?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that. A lot of the STIs that you can get could stop you from having a baby in the future because it could block your ovaries.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone? Have any of your friends ever contracted an STI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
Quite
it?
a few friends, actually. Chlamydia is the most, the one that everybody usually gets.
I do know a friend who has had chlamydia, and I feel real sorry for that person because she is a really sensible girl and she's been in a relationship with her boyfriend for over 3 years and she's caught chlamydia. Obviously it wasn't her fault, but you know, her boyfriend must have been playing away behind her back.
HIV contracted through sex has also risen dramatically over the last 10 years by nearly 240%, although the figures dipped in 2005. The number of known cases amongst 15 to 19-year-olds is around 100. The number was 28 in 1995. The Terence Higgins Trust provides an advice and screening service. It seems people may still be dying of ignorance.
Good afternoon, Terence Higgins Trust.
Hello, I was wondering if you could help. I'm 16 years old.
Okay.
And I was sort of drinking it out with sort of my mates last week,
Okay.
and I was drinking quite heavily,
Yeah.
and I pulled.
Right. Was there any penetrative sex that took place?
Yes,
There was.
there was.
I mean, are you aware that one of the main ways that HIV is transmitted is via unprotected sex?
No.
Okay. We get people who are calling that they are concerned that they have had encounters of unprotected sex and they're really not sure about what risk they've put themselves at. And even though we have programmes of sex and relationships education in schools, some of which are absolutely excellent, the majority of young people I've met over the years have said that they have felt that their education in school has been inadequate. So with that being the case, it's not surprising that by the time they're out in the bars, they're out in the clubs, perhaps alcohol or other things are in play, that condoms, protected sex, if they're going to be having sex, is not top of their agenda. So what you would be able to do if you wanted to would be to go to something called a genitourinary medicine clinic and have an HIV test. But because of the way that HIV works in your body, we can't be certain that it's present or not until 3 months after your potential exposure to it.
What if I die in 3 months?
That won't actually happen.
As well as ignorance, there's also a new complacency.
People certainly are being less careful now than they were previously. In the late 80s, early 90s, we had concerns about HIV. The precautions you take to prevent HIV will prevent most other infections as well. Most of that concern has now reduced somewhat as treatment for HIV has become more effective, a new generation of individuals come forward, are having sex, and therefore they're taking more risks than they were taking before.
Whatever the cause, health professionals believe that schools must play a greater role in reducing the rate of STIs. In Birmingham, a new initiative is being tried that takes health and youth workers into the classroom. Cockshut Hill Technology College, in the Yardley area of the city, is one of 3 schools involved.
Lots of people have got work with young people and sexual health on their agenda, connections, the youth service, school nursing, and really part of my role is to sort of bring those groups together. We complement what the school does, so we're not here to deliver their sex and relationship education for them, we're here to complement what they do. And often we might have access to more accurate, up-to-date information, and it's part of our, it's more part of our roles to keep that knowledge up-to-date and accurate than possibly is for teachers.
The initiative is aimed at Year 9 pupils who receive 4 lessons from a school nurse and 2 youth workers. This lesson starts with a word game.
What about penis? Cock. Willie. Right, has anybody else got anything different? John Thomas. John Thomas. Yeah.
We do that to break the ice, really, to let them know that we're not going to be offended by anything they say. And it's not going to, startle us, and we're not going to get embarrassed about it.
And if we're not embarrassed, they're not embarrassed. They sort of calm down quite quickly.
Right, what else have we got here? Anybody tell me what that is? A femidone.
That is a femidone. Would it protect against sexually transmitted infections?
Yeah.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. The only problem with this method is you have to make sure that the penis is in the right position. There.
Condoms. Girls, if you've got long nails, be careful as you're getting it out. One of the advantages is we don't have to come in and teach them history or English in the next lesson, so I think that's probably an advantage.
And they have commented on that they found it embarrassing that if their maths teacher actually talked to them about oral sex, the next time they taught them maths, they wouldn't be able to concentrate, and they'd found it embarrassing.
No, it's not embarrassing, it's just interesting. Like, you're at this age and you need to know these things, and it's just proper good for your health. Because if you've got a boyfriend And yeah, he's not pushing you into it, but you want to do it. You need to know these things in case you get pregnant.
Or what else might happen?
Well, you could get infected or something, and you just need to know what to be able to do.
You find out stuff that you didn't know before about how you get infections and how to condoms, so you can get girls pregnant. They tell you how to use condoms properly.
I think it was pretty good, learning how to put the condoms on and things like that.
Were you embarrassed at all?
Not really, no. It's going to happen in life, isn't it?
So you're glad you know now?
Yeah.
The school has a department dedicated to PSHE and 3 specialist teachers, which means form tutors are not involved in delivering sex education. The subject was already a priority before the arrival of the nurses and youth workers.
We're going to learn about the facts on STIs, that's sexually transmitted infections, and HIV. The PCT actually developed their scheme of work themselves, things that they felt needed to be involved. They then gave me a copy of their schemes of work, and what I did was develop the work they were doing because we didn't feel it was enough for us just to rely on those 4 lessons. So what I do is look at what they've planned and then develop that work to a greater degree with the students. The students particularly really like working with people who aren't perhaps their teachers. I think they give the youth team a lot more street cred than they give me, you know, this...
What do you mean?
50-year-old teacher standing in front of them. They don't think I know about real life.
In this lesson, pupils are being asked to design a leaflet that warns young people about STIs.
Remember, on the front of the leaflet, it can be seen by anyone. So you don't want anything too explicit in case a small child sees it.
I'm trying to put as many very important ones that can occur quite often.
Which ones are they?
Well, chlamydia has come up quite a few times, in the news and stuff, and so has HIV and AIDS.
There's quite a few of them, though, isn't there?
Yeah, there's loads.
What's that tagline say?
You're not alone.
And what message are you trying to get across with that?
That other people have questions about sexually transmitted diseases and don't feel stupid or whatever.
The children are made aware of the risks of activities that they may take, where they're aware of where they're able to assess those risks and be able to assess whether they should take them or not. We can't do more than that.
These 2 girls were pupils at Cockshott Hill Technology College, although one of them moved to another school in Year 8.
If I think back, I can't actually remember a specific time when I actually was sitting down in a classroom and I was being taught about sexual education, and I don't like to say that, but it's true. And, you know, you could say, well, it's common sense, you know, but it's not common sense for everyone.
So
Everyone's
you need to be
different.
taught common sense,
not everyone
really.
is as wise as the next person. So
you're saying young people are being criticised, but not actually being taught how to be responsible?
Yeah, and then it's coming down to learning from their own experiences, which doesn't always work to their advantage.
What was yours like?
Mine was quite good. They showed us how to put a condom on. They showed us different videos and clips and stuff of what happens in relationships and stuff like that. It was quite good.
Did they talk to you about STIs, sexually transmitted illnesses?
Yeah, they told us quite a few, more or less everything about it, really.